Femme de la patrie de Jules Lecroix est arrivé. Greetings everyone, my name is Military Russian Enthusiast, and today, after much delay and postponing, we are finally checking out the French Army RCIR, or Ration de Combat Individual Réchauffable. I hope I pronounced that right. If there are any French people in the comments, feel free to yell at me. Now, this is the 24-hour ration for the French Army, and it comes in these cardboard boxes. You can see here it's got the seal of the Commissariat d'Armée, the Commissariat of the Armies, on both sides. It is waterproofed using this rather, I wouldn't say flimsy, but I wouldn't rely on it too much, plastic bag. Otherwise, this ration is around 2 kilograms in weight. It contains 3,600 calories, and you can see it comes in a pretty compact package for a 24-hour ration. Now, let's finally crack this thing open. I wouldn't, as I said, rely on this plastic bag to hold water out too much, because if it's rattled around in your backpack, it could tear. It's not very sturdy, but it will do the job to protect from light rain and everything else. Here we are. It's got this cardboard zipper, which always tends to fail. Let's see if it does now. Yep, there it goes. That's one. That's two. Let's open this up. And let's see what we have inside. Alright. So, first and foremost, you can see everything is neatly packaged in here. We got a package of ready muesli. Definitely going in for the breakfast. Then a classic of these rations, St. George's campaign biscuits. Incredibly good biscuits, especially for a military ration. Next, we have a bar of dark chocolate, 65% cocoa. Look at this. We've got a fruit energy bar, and on the packaging, it's got this little French Army helmet. Ain't that nice? We also have a nougat bar with fruits. Next, we have a drink package, which we'll check out in a moment. And leave that to the side for now. Another staple of these rations is the fromage fondue, processed cheese can. Very nice. Another little fruit jam bar. We have a package of instant leek soup, I presume. A little pouch of apricot jam. This goes incredibly well with these army biscuits. And a drink mix isotonic for fast and intense hydration. MX3 Extreme. It's basically just the same stuff you get everywhere else. Essentially salts and different types of salts, and just mixed in with some sweeteners and flavors. An energy bar with a coffee flavor. Intense energy bar. Packet of tissues. Ooh, what is this? Le trop bon. This is some kind of pâté. I have no idea what sanglier, or however it is pronounced, means. I should look that up. Very interesting. So some kind of meat pâté. And now we get to the mains. I should have mentioned this is menu number 12. Paella and Strasbourg sausages and pasta. So here are our mains in these big cans, characteristic of the French Army rations. Yes, these rations come with cans, which increases their weight, but boy, is it worth it. Because if the MREs are basically described in the ration community as being tactical gas station food. Let me tell you, these French rations are tactical 5-star hotel food. You're gonna see. And last but not least, we have a heating kit. These rations actually require fire heating, which I will show you how to use in a moment, or when we get to lunch, because first of all we're going to start off with breakfast. So I'll lay out all of the things and see you then. Since I mentioned we do this as well, let's quickly check out this beverage packet that we get here. It's nicely waterproofed in this sturdy plastic bag. Nothing's getting through this. This is actually really high quality plastic when it comes to keeping out moisture. So we get a pack of instant cocoa or chocolate milk. We get a packet of green tea and a packet green tea with mint and a packet of Royal Cyan tea. All right, bumping the camera, I'm sorry. We get some spices. This is sugar, this is salt and pepper, and we get 2 little packets of instant coffee joined together. Very nice, very nice. Now let's set up breakfast. So we're going to be having a very light breakfast. We're going to start off with some of these army biscuits as a base for some jam sandwiches and also for these can of processed cheese. Then we're going to be having some breakfast muesli cereal, of course a cup of coffee in the morning. We're going to have a little energy bar, red fruit flavor, and a cup of Royal Cyan tea. So let me set out the silverware and I'll be right back. So here is everything for breakfast laid out. While the water is still hot, let's deal with these drinks first. So some Royal Cyan tea, let's see here. The tab failed, but it's okay. And of course I dropped the string into the water somehow. Let's quickly fish that out. So that needs to steep for a while. In the meantime, let's also deal with this coffee here. So 2 packages merged down the middle. We're gonna prepare this in our classic canteen cup. There are some powdery freeze-dried granules. 140 milliliters of water, it tells us. That should be about right. And give it a stir now. And here is the coffee. It smells quite strong. I'm gonna let it cool down before trying it. Alright, so let's make some jam sandwiches, shall we? This is absolutely something I believe everyone must try once in their lifetime. These army biscuits with this jam in the rations is absolutely heavenly. Not to mention that these are just some of the best kind of crackers you get in a military ration. Overall, you get 3 types. You get 6 chocolate biscuits, 4 cereal ones, and 6 salty ones. I recommend use the cereal ones for these jam sandwiches. Sadly, they give you very little jam. But man, are these a treat. Here's how the crackers themselves look. These are very nice crackers. They are sturdy, but not hard to bite into. They're not soggy or anything because, well, they were packed in plastic. And they're not overly crumbly. You'd expect this to be really crumbly. Not at all. Watch this. Almost no crumbs, no cracking. It's all very controlled. Let's try one on its own. There's a sensible amount of shortening in there. And these cereal ones, they are sweet. There is quite a bit of sugar in these. So they won't keep for super long. But, I mean, they will keep for a while. I think these are rated for 2026. And they are incredibly good. But let me show you where the magic actually happens. Let's put some of this jam on these. Here it is. Incredible. Absolutely fantastic. The jam is just acidic enough. It's got really authentic flavor. It's not overly sweet at all. It's just the right amount of everything. Plus the cracker, it's satisfying and easy to eat, especially since it doesn't crumble like most crackers do. This is absolutely wonderful. Maybe my favorite part of the ration, but this whole ration is just great. This is wonderful. Let's try some coffee. Hopefully it's cooled down enough. So, this coffee is pretty bitter. I mixed it with right about how much they said, 140 milliliters of water. They don't give you any creamer for it. They don't. They do give you sugar, but I think I'll use the sugar for the tea. And yeah, I mean, it's coffee from the French. It wouldn't be any other way. It's good. It is good. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm not really a coffee enjoyer, but I can certainly say that this is good coffee. Let's also start hydrating these Voyager muesli mix. As usual, these packages are finicky, but it's okay. I finally got around to sharpening my Swiss Army knife, and it's just made life much easier. So, here is the mix. I'm going to, normally you'd prepare this in the bag, but I'm going to place this in the bowl. I really like the inclusion of these cereals. Why? Not even because I like cereal that much, but because it's an excuse for the ration to include powdered milk, and I absolutely love milk. So let's see here. Look at this. The package tells us to add 100 milliliters. The camera could focus, please. Package tells us to add 100 milliliters of cold or hot water and then stir. Well, I'm going to add some cold water. Right, about 100 milliliters. All right. There we go. And just stir it and let it sit around 3 or 4 minutes. So, and this needs to stay for 3 or 4 minutes. It's really nice that they actually aren't cheap steaks and they give you a whole pack of tissues. It makes cleaning things much easier and keeping yourself tidy, especially in the field. It's even bigger of an issue. While our cereal is hydrating, let's also check out this tea, because it's probably been sleeping for just a bit too long. So Royal Cyan tea, let's see how it is. If you ask me, and again, I'm not any kind of tea connoisseur, but if you ask me, it really just tastes like English breakfast tea. There's nothing very different, that kind of earthy, very slightly bitter aftertaste. I mean, it's tea, so it's gonna be pretty washed out anyway. So let's try making some sandwiches with this processed cheese we get. We're gonna use a packet of salty crackers. These are also really good, especially for making sandwiches. They really nailed it with these crackers. I know I'm gushing a little bit, but these are just really easy to use, really satisfying to eat. Let's open it up. That's how it looks like. Fromage fondue. I'm gonna try a bit on its own. Yes, it's very creamy. Slightly salty, very nice, very tasty. But again, gets even better when you spread it on one of these crackers. And they're not brittle, they're not fragile. I'm pressing quite hard right now and these are not breaking. So again, these are great both ergonomically and from an ergonomical sense and a culinary sense. Yes, so as I was saying, these two go together incredibly well. Same with the jam and the cereal ones. The creaminess of the cheese complements the crunchiness of the cracker and vice versa. Plus the crackers add this satisfying powdery feel to it that I really enjoy. They are quite salty on their own, but with the cheese it may be just a little bit too salty, but that's why they give you all these drinks. I mean, okay, this muesli should be nice and hydrated now. This is how it looks. Kind of like porridge, perhaps I added a bit too little water. I'm not sure. This is certainly eatable. Let's give it a taste. Chocolate muesli. I really can't describe it any other way. This is... The muesli itself is good, but it for some reason has this really unpleasant ozone-like smell. If you've ever stood next to a CRT, you know what I mean. Imagine that ozone smell, but transposed to this. It's really weird. Well, these are definitely not enjoyable. I don't know what to say. It's really all because of that CRT flavor. I've tasted the different types of muesli they give in these rations, and they didn't have this problem. It could just be these specific chocolate ones. It could just be this specific bag. I really don't know. So yeah, this is very weird. If any of you have had an experience with this specific type of ration and have also gotten these, I'd really like to know your thoughts if you've encountered the same kind of taste or smell. I really don't know what's up with these. But anyway, we still got this red fruit energy bar to check out, just a tiny little thing before we end off breakfast. Here's how it looks. Not how I expected. Wonder what it's made of. Let's see how it tastes. Oh, it smells like, well, fruit jam. Actually, it smells like those chewy fruit candies that I'm not sure if you know these. They were popular in post-communist countries like Romania here, but wow, this is a weird but surprisingly pleasant experience. It's got a powdery taste. It's essentially like a protein bar. I'm pretty sure that's literally what it is. Let me see if I can make out the packaging here. Yeah, it's essentially a protein bar with red fruit flavor. That's why it's got this weird texture to it. That's the nice thing about this ration. They give you all of these tiny little snacks that are super easy to eat on the go and nice and fulfilling. I really like that. This tea is not bad at all. I actually quite dig it. Well, anyway, this has been breakfast. I'm gonna finish all of this up. I'll see what I do with this interesting cereal. And then we'll take it over to lunch. See you then. And so here we are with lunch. This is what we're going to be having. We're going to be starting off with some leek and potato soup. Then our main course will be these Strasbourg sausages with pasta. And we'll also obviously be having some of these nice army biscuits, probably trying out the chocolate ones for dessert. We're going to be having a little nougat chocolate bar and a energy bar, coffee flavor. And for drinks, we're gonna be trying out this mango flavored fast, intense hydration sports drink, essentially just a nice tonic drink, and some green tea with mint. So let me set out everything that needs to be set out, that is to say the silverware, and I will be right back. So here is our lunch. First and foremost, I want to start off with this soup. Why? Because it is actually really good. However, it takes a long time to prepare, to steep. So we'll start off with preparing this, and then we will do some drinks and we'll get to actually reheating our main, which is very different from what you usually see. I'll walk you through it. There we go. I really love the fact it's got little freeze-dried peas and pieces of chives and onion in there. So here we are. This is what the dehydrated soup looks like. Now, interestingly enough, the packaging tells us to add water, but does not mention how much water we should add. It just says add the quantity of water, which is highly ambiguous. So I will have to eyeball this. Now, the trick with this soup is that it's very hydrophobic, the powder. So you should add a tiny bit of water at first and kind of just work it in there. Even then it will clump up. There is absolutely no way around it. That's why I mentioned this soup is actually really good, but it needs a lot of time to steep. It needs a lot of time to essentially have the water penetrate into all of the clumps that form, and it takes quite a while. It may not look good at the start, but I assure you that after we let it sit for a while, after our main heats up and everything, it will be absolutely gorgeous. Also, my mistake, this is not leek and potato soup, this is minestrone. I misread the packaging. Now we'll just stir this a little bit and leave it to steep. No matter how much you stir it, it will not really help with those clumps. You just gotta let them dissolve on their own, but that's not an issue. So let's see about preparing these drinks, shall we? Let's start off with this isotonic drink. This one actually tells us to add a lot of water, 500 milliliters, so I've prepared this large cup here. Alright, it's got its turn notch at the other side. And that's how it looks. Mango flavored isotonic drink. I must say, it is quite a unique flavor. Add about 500 milliliters of water. And now some heavy duty stirring will need to occur. So now it should be mostly dissolved. Let's see how this is. Look at that rich amber color. This almost looks like beer through the camera. It has a sort of heavy, bitter, medicine-like smell to it. Let's see how it is. Yes, this does taste a little bit like some kind of medicine. It's an isotonic drink, so the taste of the salts that are actually the active ingredients, the things that make this thing even healthy in the first place, does kind of poke through. It's covered up by this very mild but sensibly artificial mango flavor. But it's not bad at all, actually. It is not overly sweet, which I'm really, really happy about. Let's also prepare this tea. We're gonna do it in our canteen cup this time. So, green tea with mint. I don't know, I shook the package as if there was powder in it. Force of habit, I guess. Yeah, so these sachets are designed in kind of a weird way, but this time we know how they work, so I won't break the tag off. And let's add the water. Now this will need to steep for a while. No problem. We'll give it time. So what about this main course? Well, it obviously needs to be heated, but we don't have a flameless ration heater. Instead, we get this ensemble de réchauffage, this heating kit or reheating kit in French. And let's see what we have inside. It's quite interesting. It's essentially a little spit stove, which you get fuel tablets for. This is how they look. But you also get packet of toothpicks, the stove itself, which I'll show you how to use in just a second. You get a pack of water purification tablets, something that is not included in most other NATO rations I've seen, including the USMRE, which is striking. I feel like these should really be in every kind of ration, no matter what. They don't work against chemical contamination from chemical warfare agents, but they can purify murky river water, for example. You get a box of matches in a Ziploc bag to protect from the moisture, and it has the Eiffel Tower on them. Of course they do. Oh, and the Arc de Triomphe. And you also get this. I will show you what this is in just a moment. It's very nice and ingenious. And you also get a garbage bag so that you can tidy up everything afterwards, which is very nice. You get a properly folded one. You're not just supposed to reuse the plastic bags like, for example, in the old Romanian rations. So about this stove, you need to first assemble it by just bending it into shape like so. It's made out of thin aluminum sheet metal, so it's not really a problem to bend it by hand. And if you make a mistake, you can always just undo it, because this is a very malleable metal. Something like this. Now what you do is you will place a fuel tablet inside, just like a little, let me pop one out, there we go, just like a little medicine pill. So you want to place your fuel tablet inside, and now we'll take this over to our pre-established fireplace. So after quite a jarring decor change, we are now in the bunker. I apologize for this, but I need to prepare a specific place for lighting these, because these stoves can be quite dangerous, as I will illustrate in the following clip. And just poke it in there to loosen it up. Oh, that is not good. Anyways, now that we have everything set up safely and away from flammable objects such as video backgrounds, we can start by lighting our stove. Open up this box of matches. So once your fuel tablet is set out onto your stove, ideally you just strike a match. There we go. And place it over top. Now, while the fire spreads across the whole tablet, let's open our main course here. Ideally, you just crack it open a little bit, like so. And now you place it over the flame. And now you just wait. These tablets burn without any smoke at all. They must contain hexamine. If you mix this with some sulfuric and nitric acid, you'd get the military high explosive RDX. Also, it's known as urotropin because it used to be used as a medicine against urinary tract infections. So And under no circumstance should you ever do this unless you're actually in the apocalypse. But if the world has ended and you happen to have one of these rations and a bad case of an urinary infection, you could try using some of these tablets. Now all we have to do is wait for our meal to cook. Listen to that thing sizzle and pop, wow. Of course, in the field you can use your canteen cup and these heaters to also heat up the water, which is much more reliable than the beverage bag. So that's one of the advantages of these heaters over flameless ration heaters. Okay, so when you've determined that everything has been properly heated, you can now use this little tool that they give you. You bend the end of it, it's knurled here for better grip. You bend it and, watch this, hook onto the lip of the can, grab onto the bottom and raise it up without burning yourself. So now we're back to our nice cardboard background, highly flammable set here. We can open this up. Try not to burn myself. It's not hot. Okay. And here is how it looks. Can stir it up a little bit and give you a better look at it. You see, it's basically not burned at all on the bottom, even though I didn't mix it or anything while it was heating. It's a tiny bit scorched right there, but it's not charred or anything. So a really important tip, don't bother trying to mix this up while they're heating. You can knock it over and then a whole slew of problems may be on your back. These are specifically designed so that when you place the can over the stove, it creates such a convection current that the flame is essentially even across the entire bottom. Plus they contain a lot of oil, which also helps distribute the heat in the can, and it does not create any problems when it comes to evening out the heating. Very ingeniously designed. So let's see how these Strasbourg sausages with pasta are. Look at that, it's steaming hot. So it's very soft. It's very easy to eat. It's got a nice faint flavor of onion. You get some little carrot cubes in there, but you don't really feel those. The sausages, I must say, really aren't special. This is one of the, how do I say, poorer variants of a main from one of these rations, but just you wait and see. Some of them are like ostrich in cranberry sauce or roast boar. These rations are top when it comes to food. The French know what they're doing. And it's so nice to get this properly heated with one of these stoves. Of course, they're not as flexible and as ergonomic as an FRH, but when it comes to the actual heating experience, I mean, they're really nice. Plus, they can have other practical uses. Who knows when you need to light a fire when you're out in the field, right? As usual, isotonic drinks are a nice palate cleanser. So let's see how this soup actually turned out. It needs some stirring here. Hardly a soup because I didn't add a lot of water, but that's specifically because I wanted the powder to get hydrated well, so I could stir it. Let's see how this is. So you could eat it really concentrated on its own like this. It's almost like a sauce, right? Or you could add some extra hot water and turn it into a proper soup now that everything is hydrated. But generally just start with adding not as much water and just letting everything hydrate. And then you can dilute it to your liking. There we go, that's a better consistency for a soup. These little pieces of freeze-dried vegetables add so much to it. I like it a lot. It's a great addition. Yes, very nice. Very nice soup indeed. You just gotta have some patience when you prepare it. Now, this tea should be done, and I should remove the sachet. However, I have nothing to actually place it on, so we're going to have to improvise a little bit here. Going to reuse this lid from the can to neatly place the sachet on it so it doesn't drip everywhere. Very nice. Let's see, green tea with mint. You can smell the mint from far away, but when you actually drink this, not really prominent. And you can barely feel the green tea. It kind of, maybe I added too much water, maybe I didn't let it steep for long enough, though I doubt that's the case. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just not that much more different from water, to be perfectly honest. This is undoubtedly a really nice lunch with a nice soup starter and a hearty, hot, nice main. You just can't go wrong. We got some tea, we got some mango flavored isotonic beverage. Let's also see what we have for dessert. They give you a lot of these tiny little snacks, which I suppose you are expected to eat on the go while on a march or in between meals, but we'll give them a try here nonetheless. This is a bar of nougat with fruit chunks. Let's see. So for those who know nougat, it is always a battle to chew this thing. To bite into it, you really have to just leverage it apart with your teeth and your hand, and even then chewing it takes a whole half a minute. But taste wise, it is good, just very, very, very chewy. The fruits inside, you cannot really feel them. Between the nougat sweetness and chewiness, they kind of just get lost in there. They don't really provide an aroma, but they're nice because then it would essentially just be egg whites and sugar. So it's a nice welcome addition. I also want to try one pack of these chocolate chip biscuits. Perhaps we should have tried these during breakfast. I feel like that's most appropriate. But hey, that's the beauty of this ration. You can just mix and match everything and there's no wrong way of doing it, really. There we go. This is what they look like. Again, really good biscuits, both in terms of ergonomics and taste. You know, perhaps this would have worked better with the Royal Saiyan, but biscuits with tea, not half a bad idea, actually. You can actually feel the little chunks of chocolate. They don't just get lost in the mess because it's not sweet. Almost not at all. The biscuit is just barely sweet, but then the little chunks of chocolate really poke out. Let's also see for this cafe flavored energy bar. I said cafe, but I meant coffee. I was misled by the spelling here. Let's see how it is. So it's a dense little block like this. Yep, does smell like coffee, that's for sure. Oh wow. So, despite being very dense, it's actually really easy to chew through. Because it again has this powdery protein bar feel. And yeah, the coffee flavor definitely is there. But it's kind of weirdly mixed in with the earthy taste of whatever kind of vegetable protein they included in this. The flavor and the taste is there. It's a slightly bitter. Not bad, not bad. So very interesting, not sure if you can see there. The ingredients list actually mentions that this contains cactus powder. What an interesting ingredient. So this has been our lunch. I'm going to finish all of this up and then I will see you over at dinner. See you then. And here we are with dinner. So what we're going to be having for dinner as a main is this can of paella, which we're going to have to be heating up again with this. Then for drinks, we're going to be having a cup of hot chocolate or hot cocoa. That just sounds better. Or chocolate milk. A nice little sachet of cafe. Again, cafe, I make the mistake, I meant to say coffee. A little bar of chocolate, 65% dark chocolate. A little bar of fruit pate. This is exceptionally nice. As a starter, we're going to be having this gorgeous sounding boar pate with cognac. And of course, some of these great army biscuits to go along with it. So let me lay everything out and I'll be right back. So here's everything. We'll start off with some of these pate sandwiches. I'm really eager to try out this pate because it sounds absolutely great. Boar and cognac pate. We're down to our last package of salted biscuits. Go as far as saying that they perhaps should replace one of the packs of chocolate biscuits that they give with another pack of these, because these are just really good and generally you go through a lot of them fast. You can make a lot of sandwiches with the cheese and pate they give you. So let's check out this pate here. Boar, eh? Never heard of that in a military ration before. Wow. Look at that. So kind of just smells like normal pork pate, really, as far as I can pick up on. Wow. This is truly decadent. Let's see how it is. It's quite coarse pate. I expected this to be much smoother, honestly. Here's the final ensemble. Let's give it a try. Wow. This is actually hard to describe the taste of it. Kind of like a much heavier pork. Yes, kind of like a much heavier pork pate, but not pork liver, just essentially ham pate. It is only slightly salty. I mean, there's also some extra salt from the biscuit itself. The cognac flavor is not really, I can't really pick up on it, but I'm sure it contributes. It's very smooth. It's a very nice aroma. A very, very interesting dish. So, let's also prepare some drinks and then we will heat up our main. Start off with this coffee. We've seen this before, nothing super special. It's basically just instant coffee. Yes, this coffee definitely needs to cool down a little bit, but it's a good excuse to try some more of these chocolate crackers with it. This should go great with some hot coffee. Yes, these chocolate crackers definitely do really go well with some hot coffee. If you dip them in, they'll very quickly soften up. They're quite hard on their own. Not like hardtack hard, but an enjoyable crunch. They immediately soften up into very mushy, so don't keep them in there too long. Now, let's get over to back to the bunker setup so we can heat up our chicken paella main. So here we are back at our heating setup. Let's see. Again, so open up here, pull out our matches, pull out our stove, pull out our fuel. Place one fuel tablet in there. Rattle it around a bit so it's roughly in the middle. Match. And just place it on top. Once the fuel is burning nicely, open up your can. Just crack it open a tiny bit. Very well, now when you've determined that your main has heated well enough, use the little provided cloth to take it onto your plate or whatever else, and bon appetit! Very well, and here we are again. Let's open up our main. So that's how it looks like. Let's stir it up in here, see what we got. So rice, got some onion, sausages in there, there's some chicken. Let's see how this is. Wow, you can't feel the sausages at all. They don't really have a taste. They are kind of soft and they blend in completely with the whole uniform taste of the whole dish. So the paella itself is quite flavorful, just none of its distinct components actually have their own flavor. Everything kind of just matured into this whole uniform flavor all around, and it's you can feel some spices in there, maybe a bit of cumin. You can definitely feel these peppers, and look at that. Here's a shrimp. I could not tell you that was a shrimp if I didn't know that this thing had shrimps in it. Everything kind of just flies unnoticed, but it's good. Its taste is good. It's just one whole uniform thing, really. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Let's prepare ourselves some cocoa milk though. There we go. Not sure if you can see it in there. Tells us to add about 150 milliliters of hot water. Not very much. It's quite a lot of powder and you won't get very much drink out of this. About that much. Again, clean spoon and mix it around nicely. I want to give this a taste right away. Let's see. Oh yes, this is rich. This does not feel reconstituted or diluted at all. Go for the mix they suggest with 150 milliliters of hot water, and this will feel like genuine milk with cocoa, hot milk with cocoa you made yourself out of fresh whole milk. It's great. Really nice. Something to remind you of home. While we're on the topic, let's also see how this little black chocolate bar is. 65% cocoa. It's not particularly strong, but it counts as black chocolate. Here's how it looks. Not sure if this is the chocolate blooming or if this is just some starch it's covered in for preservation purposes. Could be the latter. Still smells very fresh and strong of cocoa. It doesn't melt in your hand. It's hard, it's crunchy, but once you chew it, it's really nice and creamy. Only slightly sweet chocolate, not overly bitter at all, though it is dark chocolate. Very enjoyable little snack. A great little morale boost. And let's also see about this fruit bar over here. Just without even opening the package, you can feel this has a jelly-like consistency. Let's see how it looks. Gonna have to cut this open. And look at that. This is how it looks. It's you can see it's translucent, covered in little sugar crystals. Doesn't really smell at all, actually, surprisingly. So it's part jelly, part pate that actually kind of feels like there are some fruit fibers inside there. The taste itself is quite sour, not overly sweet. Can't really pick up on any specific fruit flavor because it's a cocktail of different red fruits. As you can see, strawberry, some I think that's currant, or could be blueberry as well. But this is a really nice snack, and you can basically eat this instantly if you're on a march, if you're hurrying up. This ration has a lot of these little items, and that makes it really flexible. This has basically been everything regarding dinner. I'm going to finish all of this up, and then we'll go over to the outro where I talk a bit more about the rations and tell you my final thoughts. So after all this is said and done, how do these rations actually fare? The French RCIR, Ration de Combat Individual Réchauffable, or Individual Reheatable Combat Ration, weighs around 1 kilogram 75 and contains around 3,600 calories. This is actually very light for a 24-hour ration. Compare this to something like an RIL or the newest Romanian Army 24-hour ration, which has around 5,000 calories and weighs much more at around 2.6 kilograms. It comes in what may originally seem to be a bulky and clumsy package. This is actually deceptively efficient for logistics organization. Why? Because these rations essentially come in these rectangular cardboard boxes completely packed. As you've seen when I opened this up the first time, there is practically no wasted space inside the boxes, and this means that in warehouse and supply trucks, these can be piled up on top of each other and practically waste no space whatsoever. Meanwhile, bagged rations will always have some degree of wasted space. If I were to rate this ration, or generally rate rations only based on how good the food is, this would easily be a 10 out of 10. However, because I also rate them from a military feasibility point of view and generally ergonomics, this would have to be a 9. The food is absolutely wonderful. Not only do they actually give you things that feel home cooked and fresh, they even spoil you with such items as boar pate, or if you get lucky enough with a main, something like ostrich in cranberry sauce. Plus, they contain these absolutely wonderful biscuits. These must be by far the best army biscuits I've seen in a ration so far, at least. However, in terms of ergonomics, this does quite lag behind the more modern bagged rations. It still uses rather heavy metallic cans for the mains. You don't have a flameless ration heater, but the utility provided by the little spit stove is actually quite welcome. That's more of a side grade or trade-off than anything else. It's easier to heat drinks. You can use it to start other fires for whatever reason you may need to, and you can also heat your food up much faster. However, it is undoubtable that this ration is not up to the same ergonomic standards as, say, the USMRE. It takes much more finagling and fumbling around to actually get everything out and prepared. But I feel that at the end of the day, as the great Napoleon said, an army marches on its stomach. And if I had these rations for every day I was a soldier, I would feel like I could march around the whole world. This has been all. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned for the next video. Au revoir.